Wide Wargamers, Omega Warlord here with another video on how to play 7th edition. I hope you found our previous videos enlightening, and if not, you might want to go check them out, okay? So, check out the previous videos. If you're here, congrats, let's get started. So we're going to talk movement phase, okay? As you can see, I've got just a couple of models set up, and we're going to get more in depth in here in a minute, but here's the most important thing you need to know about the movement phase. It's when you move. So, let's get into how to move. Let's get into the nuts and bolts of movement, okay? The very first thing you need to know about movement is you can move any of your models that are capable, or you can move none, all right? I can move this guy, and this guy, and this guy, and not him. I don't have to. No, poo-poo, you can't find me. So, you can move any, all, or none that are capable. Sometimes the unit won't be capable. We'll talk about that later. Now, our distance for movement, generally speaking, is 6 inches. So I'm going to show you here, like I did in an earlier video, set down the tape measure. I'm here at the 6. I'm going to go down the tape measure. Boom, I move 6 inches. It really is that easy. A lot of times people try to make things too complicated. It is not that hard, okay? So, one thing to keep in mind, your movement will affect your shooting. So let's say that I'm going to move. All right, I'm going to take this guy here. I want to move him 6 inches. Whoop, 6 inches. And I decide, you know what? I really don't want to do that. Well, I haven't moved anybody else yet. Similar to the whole chest thing, you took your finger off the piece. In this case, it's you didn't move another unit. I'm just going to bring it back to where he was. I'm going to change my mind. And let's say I'm going to go this way. Set the tape measure down. Go 6 inches, okay? It's okay to change your mind. That's fine, all right? You can always change your mind on your movement, especially if it's going to affect how you shoot. We'll talk about that in the shooting phase video. Now, different models have different movement speeds, okay? These two here that I've moved first are infantry. They move, like I said, 6 inches. The two behind them, okay, these guys are a different unit type, a bike and a jet bike. They both happen to move 12 inches. So they go a little faster. In fact, all the way up off screen. Not really that far, but good effect. So, they move a little faster. Different units can have different speeds. When we get to the unit types, we'll break that down for you, okay? Let's say we've got some units together here. We talked about units in an earlier video, so now I've got a unit of 2 models, all right? This unit has 2 models that move at different speeds. This little guy right here moves 6, this big guy right here moves 12. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and move my guy 6, because that's as fast as he can move. Now, as long as this guy stays in unicoherency, he can move all the way up to 12. So he's gotta stay, however, within coherency. Speaking of unit coherency, here's what unit coherency is. Stay within 2 inches of somebody. Just 2 inches. That's all it takes. Okay? That's it. Really that simple. Don't make things too complicated. Now, there is a rule you have to keep in mind. Alright, let's say I've got 2 guys here of an army facing off, 2 guys here in an army facing off. You cannot move, correction, you cannot end your move within 1 inch of an enemy model. Okay, so this guy, I can move 6 inches. We'll see where that would take him. He's touching him now. No, you're not allowed to do that. You have to stay 1 inch away. Okay? You really got to keep that in mind. Now then, if you see here, I've got a couple of pieces on the board, and we're going to use these to describe something called wobbly model syndrome. Wobbly model syndrome is when you have a model that you want to place, like I like this rock. I want to be on this rock, but my model's going to fall off, okay? What we can do, if both opponents agree, is I'm going to say, he's here, I want him right there, but he won't stay, so I'm going to set him here, and we're going to know he's right there. And that works fine. Just agree with your opponent, perfectly acceptable, okay? Good thing to do, but don't cheese it. Some people say, he's right here, and then later on say he was right there. No, okay? Be a fair opponent. Nobody wants to play with someone who tries to cheat to win. If you need to cheat to win at Plastic Dice Men, you need to reevaluate why you're doing this. Okay, one more thing we need to know. I want to pull in another piece of terrain here. Nice big ruined thing. As you can see, we've got our low-level terrain and a higher-up piece. So if we're going to move, we can move a total of 6 inches. That includes laterally, okay, and vertically. So I can go 3 inches one direction, and then 3 inches another direction to get up there, okay? Sometimes you have to stay still and go straight up 6. Sometimes you can go forward, move up 2. It depends on what kind of terrain you're using. Now, the last thing about movement, before we move forward, is moving through terrain. There's 2 types of terrain. There are difficult and dangerous. This particular forest is difficult terrain. So let's talk about moving through difficult terrain. Now, if I'm going to move through difficult terrain, I need to first see how far I actually can move. Now, we do this by rolling 2 dice, and we get to pick the highest result. So in this case, I rolled a 1 and a 5. So he can go a total of 5 inches through the difficult terrain. Very simple. Now let's say I'm all the way back here. I'm going to set him up at 5 inches away. I'm going to declare, I'm going to move through this terrain. I roll. That time I only got a 2 and a 4. I can still only go 4, even though he didn't make it to the terrain. Now, word of caution. If you decide that you're going to roll to go through difficult terrain, that is your distance, even if you change your mind to go around it. No looking at the roll and then changing your mind again, okay? That's one of the things you just have to get used to. Now, if I'm going to pretend this is dangerous terrain, something else happens. As soon as I move into or out of dangerous terrain, I take a check. Basically, you just don't want to roll a 1. Oh, look. So, what happens is, he then takes a wound and an armor save. If you don't know how to work those yet, that's going to be in mainly the shooting video. But in case in point, I'm going to roll this dice, and I'll just tell you what happens. He rolled a 2, he dies. It was dangerous. Maybe it was a minefield. Maybe that tree came alive and ate him. Maybe he tripped and sprained his ankle and went crying home to mommy. Either way, that's the basics of the movement phase. It's actually relatively simple. But when you have a whole board full of an army, it can get a little daunting, okay? But I hope you share, subscribe. My next video is going to be going over the dreaded psychic phase, which really isn't all that hard, okay? I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.